Dorney Park in Allentown, Pennsylvania was set to be one of the biggest amusement parks in the world. I mean, in the 2000s alone, they added 5 new coasters, multiple flat rides, and a whole new themed area. But and then after that, they've only added 2 more coasters to this day. Why did this happen? For a park that was set to be one of the biggest parks in the world to now just being a small Six Flags park.
Maybe it's the Fast and Furious thrill rides like you've never seen before, or the slides, and more slides of our giant water park, or the tons of fun rides and water playlands just for kids. Because at Dorney Park and Wildwater Kingdom, you're in for the rides of your life.
In 1860, Solomon Dorney built a trout hatchery, and in 1870 he decided to convert the estate into a public attraction. This featured playground-style rides and games. And then, in 1901, the Traction Company bought the park. And in 1905, the Great Scenic Railway opened. This was their first coaster, and it operated until 1912, and somehow wasn't the shortest operating coaster in Dorney Park's history. In 1923, it was sold to Robert Plarr. He operated the park until 1966. During this time, in 1924, Thunderhawk was built, which is their oldest operating coaster. It is also one of the oldest operating coasters in the world. In 1966, ownership was passed down to Robert Plarr's son, but he died within a year of operating the park, so in 1967, his son-in-law took over. He operated the park until 1985, and then he sold the park to Harris Winstein. He operated the park until 1992. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, in 1983, there was a massive fire throughout the park. In 1992, Cedar Fair bought the park. At this time, Laser and Hercules were the 2 major coasters. Laser was a shore squat looping coaster, which featured 2 vertical loops, and Hercules was a Dim Corporation wooden coaster, and at the time that it was built, it had the tallest drop on any wooden coaster, standing at 151 feet tall. The ride also reached speeds of up to 65 miles per hour and had over 4,000 feet of track. In 1997, Steel Force opened. This is a Morgan hypercoaster that stands at 205 feet tall and goes 75 miles per hour. It also features 5,600 feet of track, making it the 8th longest operating steel coaster in the world. This ride also features some really good laterals on that helix and some really good airtime on that second half of the ride. This ride on a good day can have some pretty strong ejector airtime in the back row. And for the past few years, the ride hasn't been running with the trim brakes on as much, so on the second half of the ride, it makes it so the airtime is a lot stronger than it used to be. In 2001, Talon opened up. This is a B&M inverted coaster, and it stands at 135 feet tall and reaches speeds of 58 miles per hour. The ride also features over 3,000 feet of length, and it has 4 inversions. Now, these are not as whippy as some of the other B&M inverted coasters, but the ride is still very smooth and does actually have a pop of airtime going off that drop-off into the final inversion. This ride overall is just a really fun ride. In 2003, Hercules got torn down because at this point, it built up a reputation for being very rough and had the nickname Hurt Your Knees. Unfortunately, RMC was not around in 2003, so they couldn't RMC it. In 2005, Hydra opened up in the plot of land that Hercules was in. This is a B&M floorless coaster that stands at 90 feet tall, but has a drop of 105 feet. The ride reaches speeds of 53 miles per hour and has a track length of 3,198 feet. It also features 7 inversions, including a JoJo roll, which was the world's first of its kind, which is pretty much just a barrel roll right out of the station. But since you're going so slow out of the station, it delivers some great hang time. Personally, this is my favorite part of the ride, but overall, the whole ride is pretty fun. In 2008, Voodoo opens. Now known as Possessed, this ride was relocated from Geauga Lake. This ride is an Intamin impulse coaster, and I really like these types of coasters. Even though this is a cloned coaster, they are still a very fun ride, and are one of the better clones out there. I really enjoy these coasters, especially the launches. Even though they are not the most forceful things in the world, they are still very fun. But what happens? It seemed like Cedar Fair was constantly investing in Dorney Park, and then it all just stopped. After Possessed, they've only opened 2 more coasters, which were Stinger and Iron Menace. Stinger was a Vekoma inverted boomerang coaster, which only lasted 5 seasons from 2012 to 2017, making it the shortest operating coaster in Dorney Park's history. And Iron Menace, which opened up in 2024 and is somehow the roughest ride in the park. For a B&M, it should not be this rough, especially because B&M's known for being very smooth. Well, one of the reasons that they stopped investing in Dorney was because they purchased the Paramount parks, which are Kings Island, Kings Dominion, Carowinds, Canada's Wonderland, and California's Great America. So that made it so there was less focus on Dorney Park and more focus on these parks. Another reason that they stopped investing in the park was because of the zoning regulations that the city of Allentown added. Like, some of these make sense because there's a nearby airport, like the ones for the height regulations, because they can't build over 200 feet because there's an airport nearby, which kind of makes sense. But then some of these are just flat out stupid. Like, they can't have over 11 rides over 85 feet tall. Like, that is one of the stupidest things I have ever heard of. And also, the replacement for a ride had to be the same size as the previous ride, but this rule has changed because Iron Menace is taller than Stinger was. They're also not even allowed to develop certain parts of their own park. Also, there are strict noise regulations against this park because there's neighbors nearby, which a lot of them moved in after the park was pretty big. Like, a lot of these houses were built in the 70s and 80s, which the park was a decent size at that point. So you can't move in right next to an amusement park and expect it to be quiet. That's like moving into a major city and expecting it to be quiet. Like, no, it's not going to be quiet in a major city. There's going to be lots of people. So you can't expect an amusement park to be quiet either. Another big reason that they stopped investing in the park was because of nearby parks like Six Flags Great Adventure and Hershey Park. So this drawed a lot of the crowds, and Dorney Park was basically just drawing the crowd from Lehigh Valley. The future for this park, though, does look bright, because in 2024, they added the Steel Yard. And I love this area of the park. The theming is really good, and I really love how they themed it to the local steel mills. This is a really cool theme, and even though Iron Menace is not the greatest ride in the world, it's good to know that they still care about this park. Also, the smaller Six Flags parks all got sold, except for one, and that's Dorney Park, which is good, because this means that they still care about the park and they still want to have the park. At the very least, this means that Dorney Park won't be closing anytime soon. So that is the full history of Dorney Park. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, could you please consider subscribing? Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.